Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, trainer, author, singer, songwriter, musicians, friend to you, podcast host, and just like a ball of joy and energy, wishing you the best in life, providing you the best of what I know and what I've learned and what I've earned. And I just want to return it to you in wisdom and love and compassion and joy through my voice, through my experience, through my wisdom, and all that I am. So this is a podcast. We help you claim your power, clarify your purpose, and cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible so you can ultimately show up as a better, more sharpened, wiser, more loving version of yourself, and ultimately inspire others to do the exact same, because that's what it's all about, guys. It's not about just the rewards of life, but what you contribute to life. And here's the reality: the more you contribute, the more rewards you're going to have. So thank you for joining us on this podcast. Today's podcast is going to be all about enthusiasm, the power of enthusiasm. And for the people that are watching this either on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever, Facebook, you notice the background. There's very girly, purpley, pinky colors behind me. This is my daughter's room. It is a snow day. It was a cancellation this morning. I got at 6 a.m. And so my kids are home. So there's no other place in my home that I can actually do the podcast but my daughter's room, because she's at her friend's house playing in the snow and doing what kids do. And here I am sitting in a room doing the podcast. So don't mind me in this beautiful background here, so that my daughter decorates all the time. So Cameron, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Hey, Anthony. I'm doing really, really well. I just actually found out that this is the 92nd episode.
Oh, 92nd episode
Time to
of the Power,
Celebrate.
Purpose, and Passion
That's
podcast. Wow,
crazy. That's
that's
kind of
fantastic.
crazy.
And it wouldn't be
Yeah.
happening without you. Let me remind you and to the people that are listening that, it's one thing to have 5 people working for you or 10 people working for you. It's another to have 1 or 2 people working with you that are aligned with your values, because that's when movements are created, when 2 people are aligned, and when 2 minds and hearts and bodies come together aligned in purpose, then they fuse and they amplify. It's like taking 2 candles, and I love doing this in front of an audience. You take 2 candles that are burning and you bring them together. As you slowly bring the flames together, the flame, all of a sudden, as they touch, it gets like it triples in size, and just like 2 humans do. And so I feel Cameron and the people like Danish and Fair who are on board as well, that you see in the backgrounds, that are helping us with this as well. We're fusing our energies, our talents, and we are a mighty sword waiting to get crashed down on the minds and hearts of human beings, so and pierce the souls of every human being on this planet, or as many human beings as possible that are listening to this podcast. So thank you for joining us. And we're talking about enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm, I mean, I'm an enthusiastic guy. I'm passionate. I'm energetic. Everything that I do with enthusiasm. And let me tell you something. I'm taking this from my book, The ABCs of Life. I'm not here to promote it, but I was talking to a client about the power of enthusiasm. And after the session, I had to kind of revert back to this chapter. And there's a couple quotes I want to kind of share with you about enthusiasm. And the first one is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the word enthusiasm comes from the original Greek word entheos, which means to be the God within, or what I like to say, the possessed by God. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." And I can tell you right now, if you were to just inject enthusiasm into one area of your life, either your job, either your relationship, either your health plan, whatever it might be, I promise you, your energy goes through the roof once you inject enthusiasm. In fact, I can even tell you that there are certain mundane tasks I don't like to particularly do, whether it be a chore at home, whether it be doing my taxes, or things that you must do that are definitely you need to do, that are must do's. But if you inject and insert a level of enthusiasm into it, add some music, uh, change your mindset, change your language, change your physiology, whatever it might be, and say, you know what, I'm going to do these taxes, or I'm going to do this chore. I'm going to vacuum clean like no one has ever vacuum cleaned before. I'm going to dance while I'm doing it, add some elements to it. And I promise you that the activity that you didn't like to enjoy, all of a sudden becomes an activity you love to enjoy, because you injected some enthusiasm, some energy, some vibrancy into that movement, or into the activity, into that moment. Because I can tell you right now, and this comes from a book that I read it was one of the original self-help books that I read from my original mentor who gave this to me. It was one of like the 10 books that he recommended that I read, and he gave it to me. And it was a book. It's actually a selling book on how to sell. And it was by a guy named Frank Bottker. And it was written, I think, in the 30s even. And in his book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. And he explains the importance of enthusiasm in his book. And the one chapter he talks about is called How One Idea Multiplied My Income and Happiness. And just let me take you a few quotes from that book. How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. And by the way, this book is not just about selling. It's just like Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's not about sales. It truly isn't. The title might actually confuse you, but when you read that book, it is a very philosophical, spiritual book on how to create abundance in your life and for the people around you. And he says this: I firmly believe enthusiasm is by far the biggest single factor in successful selling. The reason for his outstanding success was not his knowledge, but his enthusiasm. Quote number 3, enthusiasm is by far the highest quality on earth, probably because it is one of the rarest, yet it is one of the most contagious. If you are enthusiastic, your listener is very likely to become enthusiastic, even though you may present your ideas poorly. Without enthusiasm, your sales talk is about as dead as last year's turkey. So the understanding of enthusiasm, injecting enthusiasm, excitement about what it is. And here's the thing. I've been to many, many different seminars, self-help seminars, educational seminars, all these things. And I can tell you that the teacher up there might have been the smartest person in the room, but because they were just talking monotone with no enthusiasm whatsoever, it lost me. But you can take a guy that's talking about their G.I. Joe characters when they were young, and if they're talking about enthusiastic about their G.I. Joe characters or the Transformer characters, it's not really interesting. But because they put so much emphasis and oomph into their talk, man, all of a sudden you get interested because they have so much energy, and that energy becomes infectious. And I remember one of my original mentors saying to me, Anthony, if you're selling something, the person with the greatest energy is going to win. And I don't just mean, he didn't just mean energy. He meant enthusiasm. He meant the belief that you have in what you're selling, whether it be for me selling my ideas to the world right now. And by the way, for the people that are out there that hate the word selling or salesman, we are all selling something. Just get that right inside yourself. You're selling something. Even if you're not making money, what you're doing, you're selling yourself, you're selling ideas, you're selling a product, you're selling a service. Right now, I'm selling ideas. I'm not promoting anything tangible or anything, but I'm promoting ideas, selling ideas. Whether you buy them or not, it's not up to me. That's up for you to buy and to take home and contemplate. But the point is, notice how I have to tell you, one of my greatest assets is my enthusiasm. And over the years, the more I became enthusiastic about something, the more abundance, the more people started to listen, the more contagious, more people. One of my clients said, your personality is not only contagious, it draws people in. People want to be around you because you speak with so much power and enthusiasm and so much passion that you truly believe in what you're saying. And I've actually had people come up to me and say, you know what, I didn't necessarily agree with what you were saying, but the degree through which you were saying it, the intensity through which you were saying it, man, you got me believe. I looked at you and go, that's a man that believes what he believes. Even though I don't agree with all he's saying, I can tell you right now, that's what he believes. And I have to say, that's a great compliment. And I'm just naturally enthusiastic about life. I'm naturally passionate and energetic, but I can tell you right now, if you want to increase your sales, increase your enthusiasm. Maybe start looking at your job. I mean, we talked about this before. I was coaching a client about their job and how they wanted to leave the job. And I asked them, so what are 10 things you like about your job? She said nothing. And she was focusing on what she doesn't like about her job. And if you focus on what you don't like about your job, you're going to like it less and less and less every day. So what are 10 things you like about your job? And then she started figuring out, and the more she started thinking about the things she started to become more enthusiastic. She came up with like 20 more things she liked about her job. And eventually she brought that enthusiasm back into her job. And she ended up getting a promotion, and wow, how things change. Now, I think the most recent that I heard from her, I think she did leave her job, but only because she ended up attracting to her life a better opportunity outside of that current company. And now she's doing even more. So enthusiasm, excitement, joy, life, breathing enthusiasm to people's life. And I can tell you right now, it's the energy you bring to whatever activity that you're doing, and you'll find. And I think maybe this is part of what enlightenment is all about, is taking a task that you don't necessarily like, and then making it beautiful, making it loving, making it something that you that you want to do all the time, but at least at the moment you're grateful, you're appreciative for that activity. You are injecting enthusiasm to it, And you know that by washing dishes or washing your car or vacuuming your house or doing your taxes, because you've done it with energy, you now appreciate it more. And you now have the resource, the experience to know that you can transform any experience into an enlightening experience just because you've injected some form of enthusiasm into that activity. Any thoughts there, Cameron? What are your
Yes.
thoughts
Um,
as I take my first breath?
yeah, good call. Um, yeah, no, honestly, like we all know that guy that it's weird. We either love him or we hate him. We love him
Yes.
because we want to be near him, or we hate him because we want to be like them.
Yeah. Yeah. You
And
got it.
these people are so infectious, so magnetic. Like Tony Robbins is one of them that like the moment I saw him speak, I was like, I like this guy. I
Yes.
want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
And when I first saw your TED talk, actually, I was like, man, this guy's good. Like, this is powerful. You know, I could tell that this wasn't, you're not trying to sell something you don't believe in. Like, you could tell that this is clearly something that this guy feels in his heart. Like, this is real. This is genuine. And I want to argue that that's the only way you could be enthusiastic unless it's something that you really, really, really believe in your heart and your soul. Otherwise, is it possible? Dude, people see through the BS. People see through it. Like, it's so obvious. Amen. So, yeah.
Thank you for adding that, Cam. That is so true, because I remember Zig Ziglar saying one time in an audio, he talked about how if you truly believe in what you're selling, you will naturally speak enthusiastically about it. And he says selling is just a transference of feeling. If I can get you to feel the same way I do about my product or service, you're going to buy it. But here's the thing. If you don't believe, as you said, Cam, in your product or service, you're not a salesman. You're a con artist. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you're selling something that you don't believe in and you're just doing it because you're getting a paycheck and you really don't believe it, number one, your enthusiasm is going to go down. If your enthusiasm goes up for something that you don't believe in, then you're probably a con artist. This is absolutely true. So again, Cameron and I are on this show, and he's deliberately going out, talking to people, coaching people through his podcast. And he had some one-on-one coaching sessions with a couple of people that follow him on YouTube. And for the people that are listening to this podcast, go and follow him on YouTube and on Instagram and all these other platforms, because he has a lot to, he's a young guy, but man, he's got deep spiritual wisdom. I can tell you that right now, just by being around him. So, but anyway, the point is that he plays his music with enthusiasm. He sings with enthusiasm. He speaks with enthusiasm. I do too. So one of the things you can do to amp up your enthusiasm is not just force yourself to be more enthusiastic about life, but start to put yourself in positions where it triggers you to be more enthusiastic. Start taking part in things that are challenging, exciting, things that be a kid again and be spontaneous and discover the world, throw away your agenda and just go out and just live life as if it was like it were your last day. So that's my recommendation for the people out there. Now, you know what, I sort of want to end this podcast with another quote, and I'll end it with something here. And it's by the same guy, Frank Bottker, who wrote the book How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. Enthusiasm is merely an outward expression. Once you begin to acquire it, enthusiasm works constantly within you. You may be sitting quietly in your home. An idea occurs to you. That idea begins to develop. Finally, you become consumed with enthusiasm. Nothing can stop you. Have you ever had that, ladies and gentlemen, leaders and healers? Have you ever had that where you have this idea and it starts to conjure up some other ideas, and it starts to your heart's open, your mind's open, your guts open. All of a sudden, you get excited about it, and all of a sudden you just take action, and you don't need to force yourself to. You're being pulled and drawn to. It's like what Carl Jung says: "I don't have purpose. Purpose had me. I don't have ideas. This idea had me." Right. And so once you have these ideas, once you have this genius flowing through you, enthusiasm naturally kind of just surfaces, and you're just an excited. And you know what? Here's one thing. Here's the benefit of being more enthusiastic and triggering these things. I'm sure you can relate to this, to Cam too, and I want to get your insight as well. Once you're enthusiastic, what happens to your energy? Right? I mean, for you, Cam, you've written how many albums? When you wanted to write a new album and you were excited about it, like, what happened to your energy?
Oh man, it's like you're up all night, you don't want to go to sleep, you hop out of bed each morning, and you cannot stop thinking about it. No matter what you're doing, it's like constantly on your mind.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and people will probably think you're annoying, but it's like, man, you can't stop thinking about it. And at that point, if you're a talker, be on the internet. I would highly suggest it, because people in your life might think you're annoying, but the internet can't get enough of you. You could just post as much as you want on the internet about what you love, and you could find people out there who are enthusiastic about the same thing. But yeah, no, like energy, man, it's like it's unprecedented.
Oh yeah, for sure. And enthusiasm, that's why it's called enthusiasm, is being like the God within, or being possessed by God, because God is limitless. You feel like you have a limitless abundance of energy, of ideas, and all of a sudden everything starts to align when you're enthusiastic about something. So inject some more enthusiasm into your life, into your work, into your relationships, into your spiritual growth, whatever it might be, whatever area you're looking to enhance, improve, upgrade. Inject some enthusiasm. And guess what, guys? When you finish this show, I hope that you go, and your next activity that you do, whether it be washing dishes, cleaning your house, do it with enthusiasm. Go home to your wife or your kids or your husband or your father and say, I love you, with enthusiasm. Say it with passion, say it with power, say it with purpose, say it with generosity. So thank you for joining us on this podcast. If you love this podcast, by all means, ask questions. If you're live, ask questions. Even if you're listening to this passively at home, just send us some questions, or add some comments, subscribe on iTunes or whatever platform that we're on, and we on YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is, and we will be happy to answer those questions, and we appreciate your comments. So to your continued upgrade and evolution, live it up with power, purpose, and passion. God bless, guys.